Welcome to the first video in a series of maybe two or three on Catharine Littlefield Greene. Catharine Littlefield was born on February 17th, 1755 on New Shore Island, as it was called back then. Today it is called Block Island, off the coast of Rhode Island. Her father, John Littlefield, served in the Rhode Island legislature, and her mother, Phebe Ray, was a descendant of the early settlers of Block Island. Her mother died when Catharine was 10 years old, and she went to live with her aunt and uncle Catharine Ray Greene and William Greene, future governor of the state in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. Her aunt, an attractive and energetic woman, was known as a charming hostess, took over the role of Catharine's mother and supervised her education as a young woman of the upper classes. Present during her aunt's many social gatherings, Catharine caught the interest of several of their bachelor acquaintances when she came of age. A notable visitor was Benjamin Franklin, who had been a close friend of Aunt Catharine. Marriage and family. Another frequent call was Nathaniel Greene, a successful merchant who was a distant cousin of Uncle William's and who was 14 years older than Catharine. Nathaniel was born in Rhode Island in 1742 to Quaker parents. His education, though not formal, revealed that he was a good student. He possessed a keen mind, excellent in mathematics. After a quick courtship, 19-year-old Catharine Littlefield married Nathaniel Greene on July 20, 1774. Following their wedding, the couple moved to Nathaniel's home in Coventry, Rhode Island, which was built in 1770. You can visit that today too. It is a national monument. They spent less than a year there before the first shots of the American Revolution in 1775 to 1783 were fired. Nathaniel's family business, iron forging for ships, became mistreated. After the Gaspee affair in 1775, which will be the next slide, in which his family was accused of involvement in burning a British revenue ship, Nathaniel began to take an interest in the growing discontent in the colonies. It was this interest that led him to the military, a choice that conflicted with his religious upbringing. Catharine had not yet settled into a comfortable life with her husband. She was still dreaming of spending cold nights with him, reading to each other by the firelight, surrounded by their children. Catharine was energetic and independent, but she looked to her husband to take charge and make the decisions with his involvement in the war. She would have to assume that role. The Gaspee affair. The Sons of Liberty were very active throughout the colonies, and the British officers charged with enforcing the customs laws and the Stamp Act were becoming aggressive. In June of 1772, a dramatic event was to demonstrate the severity of the crisis. Lieutenant William Dunnington of Her Majesty's ship Gaspee was charged with patrolling the waters of Narragansett Bay off Rhode Island. Dunnington had earned a reputation as an overzealous enforcer, boarded and detaining vessels and confiscating cargoes, often without charge, and without recourse for merchants whose goods were impounded. Losses were mounting, and it was widely believed that these harassments were directed specifically at members of the Sons of Liberty. On June 9, 1772, a local vessel out of Newport was on the way to Providence, and when its captain invaded the HMS Gaspee and led Dunnington into shallow waters near Warwick, Gaspee ran aground at a place that is now known as Gaspee Point. News of the grounding quickly reached Providence, and a party of 55, led by a man named John Brown, planned an attack on the ship. The following evening, they surrounded and boarded the Gaspee, wounding Dunnington and capturing the entire crew. All were hauled ashore and abandoned to watch as Gaspee was looted and burned. The boldness of this attack was even more remarkable in that none of the attackers made any effort to hide their identities. Dunnington and crew were able to point out most of the participants readily. However, this did them little good because the local courts too were antagonistic toward the Royal Navy. Rather than attempt to prosecute the attackers, charges were brought against Lieutenant Dunnington for illegally seizing goods. When this news reached Parliament, there was an outrage. A special commission under the authority of the Vice Admiralty courts was sent to apprehend the perpetrators of the Gatsby affair to haul them back to England for trial. Though the identities of the perpetrators were widely known, the investigation was fruitless. No arrest was ever made.